So, Adil, vanakkam.
Vanakkam.
As you know, this is a Tamil word, but we're just using it for English purposes. It's
Yeah.
kind of bilingual as well.
Yeah, I really like the name. Like, once you know the meaning of all the names, you're like, oh, this is smart.
Thank you so much. Welcome to Anako. My pleasure to have you over here.
Thank you for calling me.
So, the real reason I'm calling you here is because I saw your stories.
Mm-hmm.
You went to this place in Spain.
Pamplona.
You were
Yeah, it's called Pamplona.
Pamplona.
Yeah.
Okay, you went to Pamplona, where I've actually seen in this Hindi movie called Zindagi, Milegi, Dobara. So I think every Indian has seen it. It's like the national movie of the country. How was your experience there? Because in the movie, they run in the end and then it's done. That's it.
Yeah.
And it's all like bulls and everything. And I would love to hear your perspective or how your travel was as an Indian after seeing the movie.
So I made the mistake thinking like, oh, it's going to be exactly like the movie. It's not exactly like the movie. In the movie, it's like, oh, it's a fun thing to do. It's cool. All Indians have watched the movie. And it's about 3 friends going on a bachelor trip around Spain. They have like a bucket list of things to do. And I watched it when I was young. I was like, okay, I want to do all of these things. And one of the things they would do is skydiving, scuba diving. And at the end, they do this bull run. And bull run, like when you watch a movie, you don't really think you're actually going to do it. But it was there in the back of my head, like, okay, I want to do it someday. And then this year when I was in Spain, I was like, yeah, it's time. Let's do it. And I don't like to think of like consequences. Okay, if I do this, something might happen, because that kind of holds you back from doing it. But this one was not as easy to not think of the consequences, because all the other adrenaline activities, it's like, for example, skydiving. There's someone behind you and there's like a harness and there's like some sort of safety you feel. Scuba diving, there's an instructor. Even though it's scary, it is definitely scary, but you have this sense of safety. There's someone with you. But this is something where there's no protection, there's nobody. It's like each man for himself.
So there's no training over here before this, like some instructor, like a Spanish dude coming in instructing you, be careful or stuff like that.
So what happened was, how I went was through like a travel agency where they take care of camping, your accommodation, and you travel to the site. So we got the tents, we sleep in tents. And then on the way in the bus, he gave tips and instructions. Like nobody expected it, but it didn't really help. It made us feel more scared, because anyone, like if you Google how many people died, for example, in the bull run, it'll give you a number which is like very low. And you think like, okay, it's not so bad considering the number of years that it's happened. And every year it happens like 9 days straight. It's not that bad. But then when we were in the bus, he gave out like a few instructions. One of them was, guys, whatever you read on Google is not true. Every year, every day of the run, at least one person dies. And we're like, okay, but why wasn't it mentioned? So the run is in the street. If you, for example, get injured, but you're taken out of that street and you die next to the street, it's not counted as you dying during the run. Or if you're in the ambulance, or if you get injured and you go to the hospital and then you die, they don't count it as a bull run death. They count it as a festival death. So hearing that, everyone was like talking to each other. As soon as he said that, the bus was like silent. Nobody said a word, because everyone had the same experience of like Googling and finding out, and then they're like, oh shit, okay, this is bad. So we went on the second day, me and my friend, we went on the second day. And since we're sleeping in tents, you can hear everything outside the tent. So there were people who already finished the run, and they're discussing about the fact that, oh, I saw this guy die. I saw that guy die. He was on the floor, and like, so we're hearing this, we can't sleep. And we're like, okay, are they just simply saying this? No, it actually happened. I saw this video. This is the day before the run. And the day before the run, in the sense, like it's at 2 a.m, we leave at 4:30. He's showing a video of a guy. He's on the floor and a bull steps on his head. And like, he just instantly stops moving. Like, he just stops moving. That's like instant death. And we're like, okay, there's no way we're sleeping tonight. But we're gonna do it for sure. So, yeah, so he said that, and he said he's going to give us tips and instructions, but it in no way 100% makes you safe. It might increase your chances, but doesn't mean that you're safe. Something still can happen. We're like, okay. And then he tells us like, you have to stick, there's a curve in the street, like where the bulls run, there's a curve in the street. So stick towards the right side, because when the bulls, they go straight ahead and they smash onto the wall and then they turn right. So by the time they center themselves.
Why do they smash onto the walls?
Because the bulls are not good enough to like see that there's a right coming ahead. So let me take a right. So they just and that corner is called Dead Man's Corner. So there is where you should never stand because the bulls just come straight ahead and smash. So if you stand there, then it's like 100% like you're either gonna get injured or die. And then he said like he's gonna take us and show us the bulls that are gonna run that day. And I didn't know this, but like it happens for 9 days. Every day, the number of bulls that run, they get killed. So every day it's different set of bulls. And I was like, okay, I didn't know that they die.
How do they die?
So they go inside the bullfighting arena, and then there's one guy who like does the bullfighting and then kills the bulls.
You mean the bullfighting with that red flag on the
Yeah,
side?
yeah. Like so how the bull run starts is they're in a cage. The cage is opened, and they start running. And it's a street where it's like the sides are fully closed, and the run ends inside the arena. So that's the whole path, and it's like 800 meters. It sounds like small, but it's a long run. And he tells us it is not humanly possible to run faster than the bulls. So there's gonna be a point where the bulls pass you. We're like, okay. So he's like, don't run in front of the bulls because you cannot run faster than them. It's impossible. Even Usain Bolt can't do that. Like, okay. I wasn't planning to like stand in front of the bulls anyway. And then he gives another tip of, he says, if you want to leave, like after you finish the run, if you want to leave, there are fences on the side. Do not jump over the fence. Because there's spectators like on the side, but don't jump over the fence because the people will throw you back inside. They'll hit your head and throw you back inside. We're like, why? So what happens is at that moment, like everything that he said made sense after the run, because what happens is people freak out while running. So they just jump outside the fence. So people don't want to like a lot of people jumping on them. So if they see someone's climbing, they push you down. So what you have to do if you want to leave at any point is you have to roll below the fence. And then we're like, okay.
Wait, sorry. You mean roll below the fence?
Yeah.
Isn't the fence attached to the ground?
Yeah, but it's like, you know, those 3 wooden like pallets?
Yes.
So it's like 3 wooden thing.
Ah, so there's like
So you can
small
like,
gap
yeah.
over there. For
So
you
there's
to
like
go.
gap at the bottom, in the middle, and then on top.
But how do you go down? Are there people standing there? Like the feet are going to be there? They won't
Yeah.
kick you? Or?
If they see that you're rolling and getting in, they move aside and let you come. They just don't want people like jumping on top of them. And we're like, okay. So, and then another tip that he gave was to not stand in the beginning of like when they open the cage, because that's where the locals stand. Because this festival is like somewhat holy. So the people of like San Fermin, like it's a saint and it's like special for them. So don't go there. Go towards the end because it's like their thing. Okay, cool. Wasn't planning on, and that's like one of the most dangerous places.
Which one? The end?
The beginning.
The beginning?
Yeah,
Okay.
the beginning is the most dangerous place, and the Dead Man's Corner. And then he says these bulls have never seen people in their life. Like these bulls are raised just for the run. So the only person they've ever seen is the shepherd or like whoever's like taking care of the bulls. So this is the first time that they're seeing humans and they're seeing like hundreds of people. And all they do is run. And what he says is if you fall down while running, that's the worst thing that can happen to you. Because it's not just the bulls that can harm you, it's the people as well. And the people who ran before us, like the previous day, they were telling like they stood on people. Like at that time, you don't care about anything. You just want to get to safety. So if there's a person on the floor, you're not going to stop and help them. You're just going to step on them and run. This is too much when you hear it. But when you're in the moment, everything makes sense. You're like down to your primal instincts. So he says that like these bulls have never seen people. They're like in that panic mode. So they just run straight. And if they see that you're on the floor, if they see you on the floor, they'll jump over you. But if they don't see you, they're going to step on you. And even if they don't step on you, people are going to step on you. So this is like, it's not like tips and instructions. It's more like caution. These are the things that can happen to you. So it's just making all of us like more scared and more nervous. So it's like early in the morning, no sleep, and you're hearing all of this. And I didn't tell my family that I'm doing it. So I told one of my friends, like, if I don't reply by this time, please tell my mom and dad that I did something stupid because I'm probably in the hospital or like something happened. I told my friend, and because I didn't want to tell my family because they're going to obviously be like worried. So I did that, and then we reached, and the guy in the bus, like he showed us the whole path. And this is when I got even more scared because what happens is there are people who are like who party all day and all night because it's a festival. So they wash the streets for the run, but the pavement is slippery, like super slippery. Like the center is not slippery, but the sides are slippery. And I wasn't wearing like running shoes. I was just wearing like normal sneakers. So if anyone's going, wear good shoes. And that made me more scared. Like, okay, the chances of falling are high. And he took us to the cage where the bulls are. And I remembered like my friend, he was like, I don't know, maybe it was his coping mechanism where he was like, oh, I'm excited, I'm happy, I'm blah, blah, blah. But he didn't look at the bulls. That's when I know, okay, he's also scared as well. It's just the way that he's dealing with it. I saw the bulls and I got so scared because they're huge. Like they're bigger than what I thought they would be. And I was like, okay. Then in my head, I'm like, it doesn't matter if they're huge or small. If something has to happen, it'll happen. Before the run, everyone's gathered in a small square, in the center square, to see how many people are there in total. And like 10 minutes before the run, they open the gates and you can go stand wherever you want to stand. So we were inside that enclosed square for like around 2 hours. So 2 hours, your mind is constantly going through like, okay, something might happen. And in my head, I was super scared. I was like, I've never been that scared in my life because this is something that you're volunteering to do. Like you're putting yourself in a position where you can get hurt, injured, or dead. Like I'm intentionally doing it. So I'm like, am I being a bit too like cocky? Like I'm putting myself in this position. Why? Is it worth it? Like all these questions for 2 hours are like in my head. And I'm like, it's fine. I can just back out. Honestly, for 2 hours, I was like fighting with myself saying, I'm going to back out. Okay, no, I came this far. I have to do it. It's in my bucket list. This is like constantly happening. And I haven't slept. So my eyes are like wide open and people are coming. They're like, hey man, relax. It's fine. Nothing's going to happen. Hey, are you scared? Are you scared? And that was like annoying me as well. Like, yeah, I'm scared because like I'm running with the bulls. Of course I'm scared. And then what was nice was when we were standing there for 2 hours, like me and my friend were speaking in English. So other people who were speaking English, they came towards us and we were having like this small group of like 5 people. And everyone, we're talking normal, but you can see from a person's eyes if they're scared. And all of us had fear in our eyes. And we tried to like, it was nice because like we met people from like random places. Like there was this girl studying in Harvard. I've never met a person in my life who studies in Harvard. I'm like, okay. And then we met another guy. Like it was nice, but it wasn't nice enough to take the fear away from you. So after a while, I just didn't want to talk. I'm just standing there. And like, I am shaking and I'm just like thinking like, now I know the chances of getting injured is high. And I am skinny, I am weak. Like, I'm not like macho, strong athlete who's like fast. So if I fall, like, it's like sure that I'm going to get injured or die. And I'm like, I have like an injury on my knee already. So I know how bad it is to like be injured. So I'm like, oh, I don't. For 2 hours, constantly in your head, you're like thinking your choices and you're being like, should I do this? Should I do this? And there are people who are drunk and there are like, I'm thinking like, and there are people who are like excited. This was not a fun experience. It wasn't like, I'm doing this for fun. Like my reason for doing this was like, I feel like one of my weaknesses is I'm scared of a lot of stuff. Like a lot of like regular things or like extreme things scare me. But when you're really scared of something and you do it, you feel this sense of like, you feel proud and you feel like you're brave. And I love that feeling. But you can only get that feeling when you do something you're scared of. So I wanted to like do it for that reason. But so I kept telling myself these things like, if I make it out alive, like I ran with the bulls and I survived. Like I conquered fear and all of that stuff. So I'm like, okay. And then the thing is, the last few minutes is the longest. And you're like, oh. And then how the bull run starts is there are 2 fireworks. The first firework means they open the cages and the bulls have started running. The second firework is the bulls have reached the people. So start. So how you're supposed to run is, you don't just start running when the fireworks start. You wait till the bulls come and you start jogging by then. Because you know the bulls are coming. You can hear them. Like you can hear their footsteps. And then when they're near, you run. And then the whole thing ends in like 15-20 seconds. That's it. So I was like, okay. I had a GoPro. So you're not allowed to, so there are things that you're not allowed to do. You're not allowed to take your phones. Like you can't take a video of it. You can't be like drunk or intoxicated. And there's no age limit. There's nothing like that. You can run. But if there are cops who see like, are you recording? And if you are, they don't take away your phone and tell you to keep it inside. They tell you to get out. Like they escort you outside.
Why can't you take your mobile phones or a GoPro?
Like you're going to get distracted and you're going to like look at your phone or something. It's dangerous for you and for other people. And before the run, there's like I think the mayor of the city, he comes and inspects the whole path to see if it's clean, everything is okay. And he did that. So it's like, it's getting closer and closer. And that's the time where you're like, I think I should back out. I don't want to do this. It's just too scary. I can't do it. Genuinely, I've never felt that scared. Because this is like, again, that thing of like you voluntarily putting yourself there. So if something bad happens, it's your fault. There's no one else to blame. Like you went all the way there, you paid and you booked whatever. You did all of that and you got yourself hurt. Like you deserve it. It was kind of like that. So all of these thoughts were in my head. So I didn't hear the first fireworks. So I had a GoPro with me. But I'm like, I'm not going to like take a selfie and do the run. I'm going to just run normally with the GoPro in my hand. But the problem was I didn't hear the first firework. And I had the GoPro in my hands. And I was like, if I drop it, I'm not going back to pick it up. It's gone. And then I looked to the side. People started running. My friend was with me, like, and the people who we met. Once the people started running, I can't see any of them. Like, everyone's gone. And we knew this before the run. Like, it's each man to himself. So I'm jogging. And then I start running. And then I look to the left. The footsteps, like, that sound, like, it's getting closer and closer. So your heart is beating, like, so fast. And there's no escape right now. Like, there's nothing you can do. And at that moment, bro, like, I'm looking at people around. It was like a scene, like, how do I say, like a war scene? Because everyone is scared, including me. And you can see it clearly in their face. And then everyone's looking behind, like something's coming to get them. And it was like complete chaos. People just running forward. And then I'm running. I look to my side. The footsteps get like louder and louder. And I look to my side. Bulls. I think around 10 bulls. It happened in like maybe 10 seconds, 15 seconds, where the bulls are running next to you. And they're so close. And they're like on my left, and I look to the left and the bulls are running, and I'm like, what? Yeah, it was insane.
You was on the left?
Yeah.
And you were on the right?
Yeah. I was standing on the right and the bulls are like
you
in the center.
Standing on the right?
I mean, running on the right and the bulls are in the center. So to my left. And it was like, it's never ending because there were like 10 of them. And the footsteps, like at that, like I can't really explain exactly how it was and how I felt, because this is something that you can't really explain and get that feeling. But the feeling is you are thinking you're gonna die. And I look to the left and all the bulls ran past. And I was like, okay, all the bulls ran past and it's done. No, it's not done. Now was when I got even more scared, because everybody there are going through the same emotions as me, which is like, we're gonna die. And like, it's that self-defense mood, like where you just want to like, fight or flight. You're like, what do I do? What happened after the bulls ran past is people started either people stopped running and just stood still, or people started running backwards. So you're clashing with people. So there's one group who's running front, there's one group who's running behind, and there's one group who's just stood still. So people started bumping into each other. And I was just jogging in front, and I looked to my left, there's a guy on the floor. He's on the floor, you're screaming, but there's no sound coming out. He was like that. Like he's just like, I don't know what the noise is, but like his mouth is open, but there's nothing coming out. And he's in like pain.
Oh my God.
And I'm seeing that, and I'm walking, and in my head, I'm like, this could be me. He's right next to me. That could have been me.
Yeah.
And I walk again, I see another guy. He stood still, holding his nose, and it's bleeding. Like his nose is bleeding and he's like wobbling. I'm assuming like when someone ran, like his elbow hit his nose. So he's in the center and he's like wobbling, and I'm like, and I saw this one thing, like I saw, let's say, the best and worst side of people, where there's someone hurt there. No one's looking at him, including me. I didn't look at him. I didn't go to help him. But this guy in the center who was like wobbly, a guy on the side, he just runs to the center, picks him up, and starts going to the like edge of the street. And I was like, I would never do that. But the fact that he did that for like a stranger, I'm like, brave and like cool.
God, huh?
Yeah, it's like hero. And then I started running. And then what happened was people started pushing me, like, because there are people running behind, right? And it's not like, hey, can you move? It's that aggressive push, like, get out of my way, that kind of push. I am like lightweight and skinny, and I knew that, okay, this is bad for me because I'm like going to the left and going to the right, and I'm like, okay, I need to get out. But the problem is where I was running, there's no fences. It's buildings on both sides. So it's like buildings, so you have to keep running until you find a place where there's fences where you can get out. So I'm just looking around, I'm seeing people on the floor, and like my heart's still beating fast. Like usually your adrenaline rush goes away, but it didn't go away. And I didn't have that satisfaction of like, I'm safe now. I'll only feel that once I get out. So I go a bit more like that jog. I wasn't running anymore. I couldn't run. I was just like jogging. I'm looking at people, like I had to like move away from people pushing. And that was a very long jog. Although the whole thing is only like 800 meters, but it felt so long. And finally there was a fence and I just rolled outside. And that was pretty cool when I think about it now. So there's like huge crowd over there. But when I rolled down, it's like they spread out, like they made a way for me to like walk outside, which is like pretty cool. Like everyone just moving and I'm just like walking in the center, and I got out and I just kept walking. I don't know where I was going. I just kept walking and I started crying, tears coming out of my eyes. I'm like, now I felt like I'm safe, but my heart's still beating fast. And I'm like, I started crying. I'm alive. And I walked straight and then I just kept walking. I called my mom and I was like, yeah, so I did this thing. And my mom, like, as soon as she picked up, it was a video call. She's like, why are you crying? What's up? And then I was like, give the phone to my sister. Yeah, what happened? I'm like, you know that movie Zindagi, Milegi, Dobara? Like, yeah, you know the end what they do with the bulls? Yeah, I did that. And then I showed like my outfit where I'm like wearing this. And I'm like just crying because you were so scared and you got out of it. So the tears just came out like that. It was sort of like, I felt proud, I felt relieved, and I felt like, okay, I did it. And I kept calling my friend because I want to know if he's alive now. And then finally he picked up, and then it's like, okay, everything's good. So the whole run, like after you finish how you finish the run is you enter the arena, and then they close the doors of the arena, and it's like all the people inside the arena, and they let out one bull at a time, where the bull just runs around chasing people. I did not want to do that. For me, that was like, no, I just want to do the run and get out. I'm not going inside the arena. So my friend, he went inside the arena, and that was like another experience itself, where it's like one bull filled with people, and the bull's just chasing people inside the closed arena, and the arena's filled with people cheering and like screaming. So then we got out and we celebrated. Yeah, that was the experience, and I would recommend people doing it because right now I feel the sense of like, I don't care how scared I am of a thing, I can do it and I can like cross that fear factor, which is a very nice feeling because like every day or like in your life you're gonna be scared a lot of times, but when you know that you can still do it. And now when there's something scary, I'm like, I ran with the bulls and I survived and I was scared and I did that, so I'm like, I can do this. And so you feel that sense of courage for doing other stuff in your life, which is nice. And the thing is, if you plan to do it, you have to tell yourself and convince yourself that yes, there's a huge chance that you can get injured and you could die. There is a huge chance. It might be one person every day, but still that person could be you. You have to accept that fact. You shouldn't go thinking like, oh, nothing's going to happen to me, this is going to be fun. I feel like you should feel that fear and then do it, because then it's rewarding.
Wow. Out of all the adventurous sports you've done, including skydiving and the bull run, would you say this is your number one? Or would you say something else in terms of fear factor?
Definitely 100% like this. And I don't think there's anything else that I would do in the future that would make me this scared. There's no one to save you. If something happens to you, you're just going to be there suffering. And it doesn't matter if you run with your closest friends, your best friends, your family, whoever it is. At that moment, the safest thing that you can do is like, just take care of yourself. You can't take care of anyone else there. You have to like, exactly each man to himself. It doesn't matter who you're running with.
It's like a life learning, huh?
Yeah. Which is like, why it's different from all of the other things is because of these things, right? Like, the danger is much higher here. And even if you don't die, the chance of you getting injured is very high. Because all it takes is slipping and falling. That's it. If it's like almost like 100% that if you fall, you're going to get injured. Because people are going to step over you. And people are not like, at that moment, you're not going to think like, oh, there's a person there, let me make sure he's... No, you'll just step on him and continue running. And you won't feel bad about it. Because one, you're never going to see that person again. You're not going to find out what happened to him. That minute, you're like, I have to save myself. So that's why I'm saying it's not a fun experience. It's an exciting experience, I would say. It's a different thing altogether.
I can see it in your face, huh?
Yeah.
And even I can feel it in my body, as if I was in Pamplona running behind the pole. But as you said, I don't think it's anything close to what I'm thinking right now.
This episode is sponsored by Amma's Kitchen, the best home-cooked Indian food in Barcelona.
How do you think we can get to Pamplona to experience this?
I was staying in Barcelona, so for me it was easier to get there. So you can get there if you're anywhere in Spain by a train or a bus. And if you're planning to go, you have to book the trains early, because if you wait till the end, it's going to be booked out.
When you mean by train, a train goes to Pamplona directly?
No, it goes to, I believe, Zaragoza. And then another train goes to Pamplona from Zaragoza. Like when you're coming from Barcelona. There's many ways to get there. Like wherever you're from, wherever you are in Spain, there are ways to get there.
And for people outside Spain, say somebody from India wants to have a nice Zindagi na Milegi Dobara trip.
I would say go to Madrid or Barcelona, because when you're coming here, there's so many things to see. So I'm thinking like anyone who comes to Spain for a trip would either visit Madrid or Barcelona. And from these two cities, there is a way to get there. I mean, the main thing you should do is book things in advance, because we didn't book in advance. We booked it on the day, and we were really struggling because somehow, luckily, we got a bus. And it took us like 11 hours to get there. It doesn't take that long if you book in advance and get a train. The main thing you have to look at is accommodation, because the city is not big.
Wait, so how long does it take from Barcelona if you book it in advance?
I think in a train, it's around 5 hours, because you have to connect 2 trains. But not more than like 7 hours or 6 hours, because there's different trains with different timing. But I think the longest route is what we took, which was a bus and then a train, which took around 10 hours. And I would also suggest staying there for maybe 3 days, because San Fermin, the festival, is not just the bull run. The bull run takes place in the morning. The rest of the day, it's just like a festival. The city is like crazy the whole day till night. So it's fun to experience that as well. And you can go to the arena and watch people the next day getting inside the ring. So you can be like a spectator as well. The main thing is accommodation. What I did was I saw like a travel agency called Stoke Travel. And they arrange everything, which was 160 euros for 2 nights. You have to do 2 nights minimum. 160 euros, but you get a tent, which you have to share with someone. And you get transportation from the site of the tent to Pamplona and back, because the campsite is a bit far. But I would highly recommend that, because of the fact that when you're in the bus, the guy tells you what to do. And he gives you tips, and you're with people who are doing the same thing. And it's a good vibe, especially like after you finish the bull run, because when you go back in the tent, whatever you felt, everybody around you felt the same thing. So there's like a mutual connection between strangers, because we all experience the same thing. And yeah, so it's going to be 160 euros. You don't get food. In the morning, they give you like snacks before the run, but that's about it. But 100% worth it, because everything went smooth. And it's a bit hard to get to the site, the campsite. It'll take around 50 euros by taxi to get there. But total cost would be, I would say, like 300 euros. You get everything done, and you get an experience that is worth way more than 300 euros.
So this is 300 euros from Barcelona to Pamplona.
Yeah.
And back to Barcelona?
Yeah.
With the accommodation?
Yeah.
But without food?
Yeah. That'll be around 300 euros.
And this is for 3 days?
2 days.
2 days and
Yeah.
2 nights?
Yeah, exactly. 2 days and 2 nights, yeah. It's not really high, because usually it's very expensive, because the festival is for 9 days and there's a huge crowd. So people who try to book in Pamplona, it's super expensive for accommodation.
The festival is for 9 days?
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah.
So how many days is this bull run?
9 days.
All 9 days?
Yeah.
And it's all in the morning?
Yeah.
So in the afternoon and in the evening, it's this fiesta?
Fiestas, yeah.
And what happens in these fiestas?
Basically, everyone just drinks. And there are people like after the run. So one of the things that you do is you're wearing white pants, white shirt. So you can see everyone drenched in red. I mean, the white shirt turns into red because they just poured sangria on everyone. So it's a vibe that's like a fun vibe. And I would say it's a bit crazy, because we didn't really spend a lot of time inside the city after the run. But the time that I was there, it was just like crazy. especially in the morning when you go for the run. That's the time where everyone's done partying and trying to go back home. So it's like a zombie apocalypse. Everyone's just like dead, like on the street. It's not like everyone's just lying down, like passed out in every corner, and the city is just trashed. What do you see when you go there for the run? So you're already in like a scary setting, but it's fun. Not fun, it's exciting.
It's a once in a lifetime experience.
Yeah, I would definitely not do it again. Like, never in my life would I do it again. If I ever do it again, something's wrong with me. Something that you do once and you're done with. Because, like, I could get a bit cocky, right? Like, oh, I survived, let me do it again. Like, nothing could, no, never. I would never do it again. But if you're okay, not okay, but if you're ready to accept the consequences and you really want to, like, cross it off your bucket list, go for it. You know, this is dramatic, but it does change your life or perspective, because you can, like, whatever's scary for you in your future, you can be like, that's okay. It's not as scary as dying or getting injured. So I can do it. It doesn't remove fear from your life, but it removes the fact that, you know, you can do things even if you're scared.
Well, Adil, thank you so much for coming down here and telling us about your experience.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for listening to the story.
Personally, for me, the story what you just told, I could visualize everything.
Yeah.
And I really felt like I was there. And obviously, I think the movie also helped me out to visualize better. But I hope whoever's watching this, I mean, not watching it, hopefully soon watching it, but I hope whoever is listening to this podcast gets to experience this in Pamplona. When does this happen? Which time of
July. And also, everyone watch the movie Zindagi, Milegi, Dobara. It's amazing if you haven't watched it yet.
It's a Bollywood movie. Highly recommended.
Yeah.
Very good songs. Very good.
It's a feel-good movie.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, Adil, thank you so much. I'm going to see you in another podcast very soon with another topic.
Yeah.
So have a very good day.
Looking forward to it.
Thank you. Bye-bye.